Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. Today I'm going to do some more digital art. I'm actually kind of excited because I'm starting a new character. It's from the same Druchii group that I've been working on for the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. And actually I've been working on this project for years. And this guy is the last character that I need to do. And for some reason, I didn't realize that when I was working on the last character. For some reason, it felt like there were still 2 more yet again, even though I was on the second to last one. I guess it's just, I've done so many. This is going to be the 10th Druchii total in all the years I've worked on this project. And it's not just that I've drawn these characters, I've taken nothing more than written descriptions and sometimes unrelated reference images, and I designed these characters from scratch. And so it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work for all of them to make sure that they worked well together, that they worked well in the world that they're from. They're from Warhammer, which I don't know anything about. I mean, I know enough about fantasy and role-playing and stuff like that, but I've never been part of the Warhammer world. So I had a lot of learning and a lot of research, and you know, there are times when the client has an idea of what they want, and then you draw what you think they're saying. And then it turns out that, no, that's not right. So you have to draw it again and you have to fix it so that it works also visually, because sometimes the character is described to have certain aspects to it, like equipment or designs or things like that. But then when you actually draw it out, it like brings attention to the wrong areas, or it's just way too busy, or, you know, stuff like that. So just, this guy has got me really excited simply because he's the last one, and I'm really excited to finally finish this project and let the clients know that it's all done, that everybody is completely done from the very first one I worked on to now. And so I've got to start coloring him so I can get it done. I have his, let's see, he's actually, I think, the top character of this group. So I actually had 2 different groups. Basically it was a forum, a role-playing forum, and one person commissioned 6 characters, and then a different person commissioned these 4 characters. And so of these, the character description makes it sound like this guy, Varin Blackthorn, is actually the leader of the other 3 characters, or at least he's definitely above them all in rank, because his description is employer noble. This is the very first thing. So he's probably got black hair. Yep, black hair like most of the rest of these dark elves. He has, I'm just reading this, he has blue eyes. They're supposed to be cold, so I'll probably make them an icy blue. Narrow eyebrows. He's cheery for a dark elf, but not clownish. Oh, it sounds like he's going to be right up my alley like the last guy. He has dark crimson robes underneath black, red trimmed armor. Yeah, red and black, that's my favorite. So this was a character where I had to cut something out, even though it's part of his character description. He's supposed to have a symbol of his house on the chest of his armor, but with all of this other stuff, you see these, he's got this big sword, he's got these 2 little daggers, and he's got all this other stuff going on, and just adding that in especially when the pommel of this sword is a cool dragon head in and of itself, and the symbol that's supposed to be on his chest is also a dragon. It's kind of like, which one do you look at? And there's so much, and it could end up looking like they're part of the same dragon or something. Like, since there's so much going on, this was one where I decided to cut an element out. I'm just looking for any other color references right now. Yeah, crimson cloak. A lot of red and black. Yeah, he's supposed to be cheerful, but also he's a noble and he knows it. He's not snobby, but he knows his place and he knows it's high. Okay, so as with most of these other characters, there's not really a mention of the skin tone. So I'm going to just pick a fair skin tone. Most of these Druchii have, when they had a skin tone, let's see, color. When that was part of their character description, it was usually fair skin. And I always like to start with the skin for coloring a humanoid character. So let's pick, and since he's a noble too, I mean, these guys obviously are out and about doing stuff, but classically nobles would be even more fair-skinned than anyone else because it showed that they didn't have to do anything, you know, they're too rich to have to work or whatever. So I'm gonna pick an extra fair skin tone for him. I mean, if it looks ridiculous, then I will change it, but I'll start with this. Ah, no. I need to put this color below the lines. There. Oops. No, on the skin layer. There we go. Oh, you know what? I need a gray background. This color is so light. I need to get a medium gray background color to color against to make sure I'm not missing any pixels. There, see, that stands out much better. Just try to remember. Oh, what the heck? Oh, duh. Right, wrong color. There. I try to remember if I'm using a light color to switch to the dark background, and when I'm using a dark color to switch to the light background. Sometimes I don't remember and then I regret it later, but it's still better than nothing. Because when I first started doing digital art using Photoshop, it bugged me so much when I'd finish a piece and I thought it looked great, and then I'd save it, and for some reason I guess I'd resize it and save it, and in that process of resizing and saving, spots that weren't visible before were suddenly totally obvious, spots that had been missed, pixels that had not been filled in. So oh bloody hell, I've been painting on the wrong layer the whole time. Okay, let's do this again. But yeah, I had developed all these techniques just to make sure that I get it all filled in good, so that when it's all said and done, then no matter what I do with resizing or saving, whether I save it in a ping or save it in a JPEG, it doesn't matter, it's going to look good. Okay, hope I did this right this time. God. Okay, eraser time. Bigger eraser. I don't know if I inked this character later than the other ones. He was last in the list, so it would make sense to me that I did ink him last. But I just feel like my lines are I didn't even have Laziness Me Pro for this, but I just feel like my lines are so much better on this guy than on some of the last ones. Just the nice line weight. That's what I love to get that in there. Just a variety. Even if it doesn't have much rhyme or reason to it, just making the lines have some expression. So send the, well, let me, thought skin was good. Let me make sure he's not wearing, he's probably got gloves on. And then of course his legs are all covered. So he has like robes and a cloak. So yeah, I think his face is the only skin exposed. So next, let's do the eye whites. As usual, I like to pick a white that's in the blue color family. It's still going to be really white, so you can't tell that much. But it's, I don't like choosing pure white because it's just kind of boring. Oh, I'm still on eraser. I don't like it when people say you have to not choose white. I don't like when anybody says you have to do this. I've seen people say stuff like, never use an eraser. You should never use an eraser. Like, no. There are times when you can use an eraser. In fact, there's times when you draw with the eraser. Or if you want to erase half your drawing and finish it off and you're happy with it after that, then good. It's good that you use the eraser. I just don't like people who make art rules. Like, if it's a rule for yourself, fine. But when people present them as universal rules that, oh, you're doing it wrong if you're doing it like this. No, there is no wrong in art. If you take any sort of art history class, especially once you get to the once you get to more modern art, there is no wrong. There's no wrong in art. You can't do anything wrong. You can do things in a way that doesn't satisfy yourself or that doesn't sell if you're trying to make a living off of it, but there's no wrong technique for anything. So I've seen people present this rule, which I follow as a personal rule, about white, but I've seen them present it as a hard and fast rule, like you're doing it wrong if you're using pure white for things that are really bright. Like, no, you can do what you want. If it's easier, I shine. If it's easier to do pure white, or if you don't care that much, if you don't notice the difference, or that's not what your point is, then you can just go ahead and use pure white. So this area is somewhere where I actually do use pure white. Anything that is these highlights on the eyes, or a super bright highlight like on water or something, then I use pure white just to show that it's extra shiny, and then that even makes it stand out from this other color even more. There, that's looking good. Alright, I think next should be his hair, and it's Raven Black. I'm not sure what Raven Black should be. Kind of makes me want to give it a blue tint. That would go in line with his eyes too. If his hair had slightest blue tint to it instead of just being pure gray. Like, I'll bring it further into the color and make it more saturated. And as usual, I'm not going to go all the way down to the super dark area down here. I'm going to keep it actually kind of a dark gray. This is going to be a really tinted dark gray. And that way I can add even darker color later when I'm doing the shading and give the hair dimension. Getting his eyebrows all nice. Erase some of that. Okay, we're gonna get this. In my life, it seemed that a lot of people, especially girls, are self-conscious when they've got these sort of like, I guess people call them sideburns. I don't think they're sideburns. When it's growing down, when it grows down and long and it's this nice soft hair like that. But I think that it's lovely. I love seeing that. Because I have the tiniest little bit, but I've seen people with just this, it's I don't know, it's so nice. It's elegant, I feel, having that little extra in front of the ears. For a long time, I actually styled my hair like that on purpose, even though I didn't have anything right here. Nothing was actually growing out, but I would pull my hair in front of my ears and have long ear tails, I called them, just because I love that look. I think that's probably why I gave this guy those, because it wasn't in his character description or anything. An elegant look is perfect for a noble. Noble dark elf, Druchii. You know what, I can probably use the outline and fill technique for his hair, because it's one big area. I'm just going to outline it nicely. Let's make this a little more pointy. I think I do need to get some more RAM, or maybe even replace my processor, because my Photoshop lags a bit when I'm running my streaming software at the same time. It's not horrible or anything. It doesn't affect my work. It's just I can tell sometimes the response time is slow, or when I try to move a frame around or something, it's like stuttery. But that's kind of in the future, because the first thing I want to get for my art stuff, well, first two things: a new desk and that tablet arm, so I can have my tablet sort of in my lap but hovering. Definitely getting that before anything else, as soon as I move. I'm going to try my best to time my order to get it as soon as possible, but I think that I'm going to have to wait a little bit before I can get it, because I want to order this desk that I found on Amazon. It looks really perfect. And then the tablet arm, of course, is on there. But because I changed my address, I used the mail forwarding service from the USPS, and it came with an Amazon coupon. Oh no, I missed a spot. Came with a coupon for 10% off. Oh, there it is. So I want to wait so that I can add as much stuff to my cart as possible and get 10% off of everything in it. So, because I think I'm going to need more than just stuff for my new art studio, home art studio. Because we have more bathrooms now. We have an extra bathroom. We had 2 before, and now we have 3. And we also have 2 living spaces now. One on the ground level floor. It's one of those split level houses. If you don't know what that is, it's like half a basement and then a floor on top of that basement, and then off to the side is a ground level floor that's sort of like in between those 2 floors and in terms of height or elevation. So it's not like the middle floor, but the ground level floor has living space, and then so does the halfway in the ground basement. It's so hard to explain. Well, you can look up try split level house, 3-floor split level house or something if you don't get it. Anyway, there's other stuff I need to buy to outfit my house. So a bunch of stuff that I thought I might order right away as soon as we're ready to move, I think I'm gonna wait so that I can get this Amazon deal, get as much out of it as possible. So I've gotten all of his facial features, I've gotten his hair, and I think this blue tinted black looks good. I don't know if that's what Raven Black means, but I like it. The other color mentions are dark crimson robes beneath black red trimmed armor. So I think that should be my next layer, because the dark crimson robes are different from the cloak. Yeah, the cloak is mentioned, but it only has crimson, not dark crimson. And then the armor is black and red trimmed, so red is different from crimson. So we've got 3 different reds going on. And since, I'll call the layer robes, since the robes are underneath it all, I'm going to start there. And it's the darkest of the reds, because crimson's already a dark red. Just put it dark crimson. It's good. I think it's good to have the underclothes with armor be dark anyway, because it's kind of weird when they stand out if they're like white and then the armor's black and then it's like standing out in weird places, and it's like reversing the negative space in it. It just doesn't look right. I could be pretty sloppy with most of this coloring because it's a majority of it's going to get covered up anyway. The only places I need to trim are where it's going completely outside the lines, and there's nothing else going to be colored here. Yeah, let's see. I think I need to zoom in a little bit more. That looks good. Well, let's make his glove. His glove can be that color too. It's nice dark red. So I suppose This is part of the robes. And clean it up. Actually, don't need to clean it there. Just clean it on the skin layer. What else? Am I missing anything? Ah. So yeah, this guy's armor, he needed to be much more complex than anybody else in this group of characters. So that's why his armor is just like so wild. Like, it's really hard for me to tell exactly. I need to look carefully. Even though I'm the one who drew it. But it needed to be... It needed to show that he was the top ranking guy. The only place I need to clean is right here. Oh, this back part is part of this too. And if this doesn't look dark enough, once I get the other reds done, I can always just go in and edit the color. Now I'm just looking to see and make sure I didn't miss anything that's supposed to be part of these dark crimson robes. I don't think I did miss anything. So let's see. The next... I think the next thing should probably be the black red trimmed armor. So it's definitely going to have two different layers for the armor. Armor black, and then we'll have armor red. And we definitely want to get a totally different... Maybe we'll keep it in the red family though. Just desaturate it a lot, keep it dark. That way if it's in the red family, then it will still look like it belongs. These colors will all look like they belong with one another. And this part is gonna get kind of... It's kind of complex. I've got to make sure. I think I'm just going to color in the whole armor with black, and then I can experiment a little bit with what parts end up having the red trim. But I've got to color in sections because there's so much going on here that I know I will miss something or mess something up if I'm not careful. So I've got to clean up in areas where black shouldn't be, but I also don't want to color everything in too much and then forget. Like for instance, if I color in this area where this is the cloak right here, this is where the cloak is attached to his armor. If I color that all in, I might forget and just think of it as armor, and then when I look at the final piece, it's like, oh no, what did I do? And then I have to go back and fix it. So I'm going to turn on this dark layer. It's kind of hard. Oh, you silly thing. It's hard to see the black line versus this really dark color. So if I turn on the dark background, that actually makes it easier to see. I want to erase, but I don't want to erase too far. Right now his face. And this part of his robes need to be cleaned up. I think I'm just gonna, I was using the back of my stylus because that automatically goes to eraser if you use the back part of the stylus for this tablet. I think I'm just gonna put it on the front because it's the back is, I don't know if you'd call it a nib, but whatever that is kind of wobbly. So sometimes it gets hard to erase with. So when I need to erase a lot, sometimes I just put it on the front as my main weapon. Oh, look at this, is his neck. See, this is why I need to be careful. I need to just do one little area at a time, because I could have just totally missed that and ended up making his neck black. That's not what it's supposed to be. His neck is not armor, it's just in shadow. This is kind of cool because these are both extremely dark colors, but because one was in a more red color family and the other was from blue, you can really tell the difference, especially with the gray background turned on. How are we doing? That's good. Let's just get this little bit off of the hair. Guess it doesn't matter how perfect it is right there because that's not even part of the armor. Now, zoom out a bit. What's next? Let's go to this arm. I think I'll just do an outline. It goes all the way down here. Outline, 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 all the way. And then I'm going to fill it in and then erase away. This we can fill in right here. And color in this little bitty line. Hopefully I get it all, because with that red, actually let's turn this off and turn this off just to make sure I'm getting it all. But I do want these on so that it helps me remember what things are what color. Things that I've already colored that I need to make sure not to fill in. And right now I'm liking this dark background simply because I'm working with so many dark colors that it's a lot easier on my eyes. Just another good reason to have a light background and a dark background to switch between. At least when you're doing art like this, when you're doing more of a character illustration than doing, say, like a digital painting. Now, to erase and clean this up. Oops, eraser. Oh, I guess I don't need to worry about erasing right there. That's more armor. But right here is more cloak. I haven't colored the cloak yet, but I should still... Wait, no. Oh, it's fine because... Yeah, I'll leave that. Because the cloak layer is going to be on top. So I don't have to worry about erasing right there. So you get confused sometimes because in the picture right now, the cloak is behind all this armor. But when it comes to the layers in the digital document, it's going to be on top. But I do need to erase anywhere where it's protruding out onto this red. Let's go way back up here. Oops. There's just a little too much right there. Oops. Here too. Alright, how's that? I think the only place I need to erase here is wherever this dark color is coming out onto the red. Otherwise, the rest will end up being covered up by other layers. Erase a little too much, but I'll fix it in a second. Keep erasing right now. Just get this whole line. There. I think even though it's not mentioned in the character description, I'm gonna do just like I did on the last Druchii and make like these little diamonds right here, or the teardrop shapes that are all through his outfit. Here's another one. I'm gonna make them gems of some sort. I probably won't make him red again because he's already got a bunch of red, so I should... maybe I'll do white or gold or something like that. Something else. A nice accent color. Now, where are we at? You do the other arm. So let's do that. And I'll do the outline and fill method again. Oops, doesn't go down there. It goes over here though. Fill in the gap. The reason why there's a gap is because when you color with a brush on Photoshop or any other program, it's not hard and pixely, it's nice and soft, and that means it's filling in some pixels with transparent pixels. So those transparent pixels on the edges, which make the brush come out soft looking rather than hard and jagged, when you use the fill bucket, paint bucket, it doesn't fill those in because it thinks they're already filled in. It doesn't care that they're transparent, that they're translucent, I guess is the better word. And you can technically click the fill tool again to get it to cover those partially filled pixels, but the problem with that is that it also fills the partial pixels around the entire thing, and so it makes lines huge all around the edge of... it doesn't just do that inside edge, it does the outside edge as well, and that's just as much work to fix, or even more work, than it is to just go ahead and fill in that gap manually with the brush. So here, it doesn't even need to be filled in at all. Oh, I'm still on the eraser. So since I'm going to be filling these gem areas in as their own separate color, I'm not going to bother coloring those in right now. Let's see, this armor comes all the way down, so I'm just going to bring it all the heck down here. And where else does it go? Like, oh, in here, and here. That's part of the sword. This is the hand guard. And I'll just put it down here. Here is decorative hip guards. The rest of the armor, body armor, is just this big huge plate in the front. And of course there's armor on his legs, but for this outline and fill, I'm not concerned about that. Because I want to do this. Ah, I missed a spot. Alright, where did I miss? Where did I miss? Must have missed somewhere. Ah, I see. See, if it's not filled in all the way, then it fills in the whole dang picture. There, now it should work. There. Zoom in a bit, fill in the gap. Actually, let's turn off the robes and the dark background so I can make absolutely sure I'm not missing anything as I fill this in. Okay, turn these back on. I need the red so that I can be sure to erase everywhere that the red is supposed to be exposed. And then I need that gray just to make it easier on my eyes, working with all these dark colors. It really does hurt my eyes to have that stark contrast between the white background and these super dark lines and fill colors. I mean, it's literally like turning on a bright light because it just makes the screen brighter. Doing white, so you're turning on more pixels in the screen in order to get white, since it's the RGB. You put RGB together and then you get white. So it's like my monitor's on full blast when it's on white. use a little tiny eraser to get in this corner. This armor is so pointy. I think it's the most intricate armor and complicated armor of any of the 10 characters I've done. I guess we'll have to look at them in a lineup to judge for sure, but just getting in these little tiny corners. Oh, you know what? I don't even need to worry about a lot of this stuff, because it's just going to get covered up. In fact, it might even be better. Well, I won't go back, but yeah, all this uncolored stuff is just going to be covered up by subsequent layers anyway. Let's see, so here. Just on the red, really, wherever there's already red is where I need to clean these lines up, clean this color up. See, this is why I have to do it little section by section, because it gets super confusing. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't seem that confusing just watching. But in my head, it's easy to get distracted. Or, conversely, to get too drawn into doing something, and then that's what I realized just now. Oh, I don't need to be doing that. See, like right here is really, I'm going to cover it with my finger. Okay, yeah, I need to erase this little triangle. Oops, erased too much. These lines right here, going up and down, visually match this enough that I'm like, what am I looking at? Covered it with my finger so I could tell what needed to be erased. Zoom out, see if I'm missing anything before I move down to leg armor. I think I've got it all pretty good though. I don't see anywhere that... Maybe on this hand? Let me... Yeah, there's a little on this hand. Yeah, that's why I always need to go back and look carefully. Now I think it's safe to move down. Get these 2 feet. Let's do the outline and fill again. And let's do both of them. Now turn off these so that I can really see the gap. Just fill that in nicely. Okay, now turn this back on. Turn that back on. And these actually will need a lot of erasing because not only are we on the red up here, there's parts of the shoe that stick all the way out. And there will be no other layer to cover it up in the end. I just remembered something that I want to do before I forget, in case I forget at the end. I need to resize the whole canvas for this picture so that it puts a little more, a little more room around him. Because right now it's really tight. The canvas is really tight to the line art. And I want there to be a little bit more breathing room between the edges and the lines. If I do it now, then I don't have to worry about doing it later. Because I could totally forget, and then I save it, and I save it for web and everything, and then look at it and I realize it. I have to go back and do everything again. It just looks nicer. The presentation is nicer. If I was just presenting these with a transparent background, if I was just saving them like as a ping, and that didn't matter, then cropping it close is actually the better idea. But I've been doing all of these characters with that dark gradient that you might have seen in my last video. And so if I'm going to have that, it looks better with a little bit more room. Before we do anything else, I want to save. Whew. I've done so much work now, I don't want to lose it. Hey, Bear. Well, if you hear that meowing, it's Bear. Meow. He's a meowing at me. Okay. Okay, first let's do this canvas size. Let's just increase the width. Actually, the width's pretty good, because although maybe he could use a little bit more room to his, well, to my left. So let's try 3,900, and the height, let's try 6,500. I think I could go more. Canvas size, anchor it. Let's do 4,000 width and 6,600 height. And this in. Let's see. I think we're getting there. The only thing is his head is like not actually centered on the canvas, and since it is sort of leaning, you know, he's kind of nodding to one side, that's fine, but then his feet also are not centered, and that kind of bugs me. So let's keep going. I think the top and bottom is pretty good now, but let's just make it a little bit wider. Let's try 4200. Yeah, I think that's better. Although, now it feels kind of unbalanced with this here. Okay, one more time. Try 4300, but keep it centered to give a little bit more space for the tip of this sword and the edge of his cloak. Maybe I will go a little bit bigger for height too. I think that's better. Can't tell, but this is also missing. There. Well, he's centered now, but it still kind of feels off, because now this is all empty. Okay. One more time, and I'm actually going to reduce it just a little bit. Let's try 4250. Proceed. Oh, yeah. I think that's better. So he's not exactly centered, but I think overall that's a lot better. Kind of looks like it should be a trading card or something. Okay, what's next? I think I got all the armor. All of the dark armor. Now that I'm looking at it though, I think the hair is too pigmented. Just want the saturation down a bit. I wanted it to have a blue tint, but then it looks too colorful with this black for the armor. And actually, I think I'll take the armor's saturation down a little bit too. I can hardly even tell the difference. Okay. There. I don't like the hair still. I like the idea of making it blue tint, but it's kind of too much now. I just want it to be ever so slightly different from the black of the armor. There, I think I like that better. I can still tell this versus this is different. But it's not crazy different now. The next thing is to figure out which stuff I'm gonna make red. It says red trimmed, so that helps. Trim is always along the edges. I wonder wonder if maybe I should just erase this line right here. I went through the trouble of drawing it before, but now I kind of feel like it'd be better without it. Yeah, I do like that better without it. Maybe I had that there as a practical line to show that that could move or something, but overall I think it looks better without that line. Because then I could make this whole thing red. And having this line right here, but it's both red here and here, is kind of weird to make these two separate pieces when it kind of looks like it should just be one big piece. And do red here on these edges. Use points here and probably this. Okay. Armor red. This color I'm going to make the most pigmented, bright color because it specifically says red. It doesn't say crimson or anything. There's 3 different red colors described in his profile. So I want to make sure they look distinct. Of course, in the end, that might not look good and I'll just have to change it anyway, but that's just how it goes. I think I need to turn off the black armor layer because that color is so close to the black lines that it's hard to tell where I'm trying to color. I was going to erase that little bit, but then I remembered I don't really need to because the cloak layer is going to cover that up. I have a feeling I'm probably going to need to make the robe color much darker than it is so that I can tone down this red. Because right now it's looking like neon compared to all the other colors. I'm pretty sure that's not what a Druchii would have. I'm thinking I might leave it at that and not color like in the middle. I'll just leave all these pieces as sort of like functional to show that his feet can move in this armor. It's getting closer than that. I'll scoot up a bit closer. I've got my computer chair on like carpet right now. My computer chair mats are all packed away. So it's really hard when I need to scoot in. It's really hard. This chair does not want to move. Getting to the point where so much has been colored in that I do have to, for the most part, color neatly inside the lines, since the layers are now starting to do more covering up than being covered up. I'm not doing the outline and fill method anymore because I just find it mentally easier for these like narrow strips and stuff to just fill it in manually, even though it might technically take longer. But just navigating all of the curves and the sharp points and everything, just sticking with one tool makes it easier for me. Make that go a little farther out so that I can erase down to a nice sharp point. Oh, my upper back's starting to get a little bit sore. It always does when I work on my tablet for a while. It's because I can't put my tablet in a comfortable position for me, in a position that allows me to work for a long time on it. That's why I really want a new desk so I can put my chair up as high as I need it without being obstructed by a keyboard shelf. And I want a tablet slash monitor arm so I can get the tablet down in front of me instead of sticking up in front of me. It's hard to explain it without actually showing the tablet. This guy is so complex. His armor. I don't know if I'll be able to get all the flat color done today. We'll see. But just my back is starting to hurt so much. It's like starting to seize up, like getting stuck in that position. Oh, yeah, it's getting hard to focus. My eyes are just kind of like zoning out. Everything goes blurry. If I can at least get this red trim done, then I'll feel satisfied with today's work. Oops. I don't want to stop right in the middle of a layer if I can help it. Why do you do that, tablet? Why? Sometimes when I lift up my stylus and then put it down somewhere else, it's like the tablet forgets about pressure settings and just does not. It behaves as if I was drawing the line with a mouse and not with a stylus. It does it every time. Every time I work. I don't know what it is. Just randomly happens. Who knows, maybe getting a more RAM or something would help. Then again, this tablet's really old. Super old. It's like more than a decade old. This particular one. I'm sure the model is even older than that. But this particular physical one I've had since the first Christmas that I lived in Boise, Idaho. So that's like at least 10 years ago. Hoo-wee, this is so pointy. This is just this front plate thing. I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if this needs to be red or not. I have to zoom out and see what the heck that line is. I don't know if that's trim or if that's just something else. It could be part of the swords or something, the daggers. I think that's just where the torso meets this bottom part. So I'm going to leave it black. There's going to be so much going on with these swords right here. There's no reason to bring more attention to it with some red trim there. Oh goodness. Just keep going, keep going. Let's fill in this part. Even though they're a lot of work, I actually really enjoy these like pointy armors. I think they look really cool. Okay, I want to do something real quick. I want to turn on the white. Yep. The gray is easier on my eyes, but the white is much better with this red to show where I've missed spots. Yeah, I think I better keep it on white for a while I'm working with this color. Missed a lot. Okay. Where next? There's a lot of options up here. So probably this edge on these hand guards. And the edges on these diamond shaped pieces. This here. These probably. I don't know if I should do this part too. Or leave that black, since it's such a big piece, it doesn't look like a trim, it looks like its own piece. Let's start with the hand. I did it again, blast it. Well, at least it was mostly in the lines anyway. Like, I know it's not because I'm putting the stylus down too hard. Always put it gently down. going to leave this triangle or diamond shape. I'm going to leave it black because this is going to be a gem or something like that. So even though this one's outlined in red, I think it'll be okay because this will be a different color too. Just have this black and this black. Because I'm worried if I do red, then black, then red, then whatever gem color I end up with, it'll be too flashy, it'll be too much contrast, and it will bring attention here when there's no particular reason to look at this guy's wrist, so I don't want to bring too much attention to the area. Undue attention, I suppose. That's a better word. Slowly getting there. I think I need to zoom out and look at it as a whole before I decide whether I will do red on these top pauldrons. So I want to make sure not to do too much. I don't want him to look like a red and black zebra or something, like tons of red stripes all over the place. Just supposed to be trimmed in red. That doesn't mean that every little thing needs to be red or every other thing needs to be red. Should be mostly black. Does that match? What am I looking at? One, two, three. 1, 2. I think this part is not supposed to be red, actually. I think this part is this. So I need to erase that. Oh, I need a bigger eraser. There. Now I gotta make sure I colored it in. I did not. Ooh. This is looking good together though. That's looking really cool. Okay. Color in this black. Oh, I'm on eraser still. Color in the black area. Now back to the red. I kind of want to erase that a little bit. There. Alright, let's turn this back off. You go here and here. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to get the all of the flat base color done today. This is just taking way too long with all these details. I've got 15 minutes left in my streaming window. I feel confident I can at least finish this layer, this red trim. else? Probably this collar and these two neck trim on these two neck guards. I think that might be it for red trim, but I'll make sure to turn on the black armor layer and make sure everything looks good together. Oops, erased way too much. Bear's meowing at me from the bedroom. I think he wants some lunch. He's gotta wait just a little bit longer. Dang it, I gotta reduce the size of this eraser. This is way too big now. Alright, I think that's good for the trim. Let's check with the black layer on and the dark background layer. First, I just want to look at it as a whole. Also, let's hit save. Don't want to lose all that work I just did. I think maybe the only problem with this black and red is that it's not looking good with this crimson robes. I'm going to change the red a little bit. I think that looks a bit better. I think I will do the robes little dark already, even though I haven't done the cloak yet. Guess I want it to be a little more towards the purple side of red rather than the orange side of red. And then maybe bring the saturation down too. Because it did say dark. Well, that's looking kind of maroon. It said dark crimson. That's kind of brown. Maybe I need to bring the saturation up. Maybe that's actually the problem. Oh yeah, maybe if I do is this super dark. Maybe that'll be better. I'll probably have to tweak it again once I get the cloak and all the other details in. But it's so close to time that I'm not going to work on anything else today on this one. Just going to leave it as it is. Let's do one more save. So I'll come back to this one next week during a regular streaming day. Tomorrow is Chibi Friday, so I hope you look forward to that. Thank you for watching.